السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته وبعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ثم الصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه الأخيار أما بعد. مرحبا بكم أعزائي المتابعين لهذه القناة وإلى هذا الدرس. إن شاء الله في هذا الدرس نناقش موضوع عمر بن الخطاب وأم البنين، وكما يظهر لكم على الشاشة هذا الدرس قصيدة، والقصيدة واضحة. القصائد حالها دائما تجدها معقدة إلى حد ما، العبارات وتحليل التراكيب تجدها معقدة إلى حد ما، ولكن القصائد التي تقصد بها الأمور الدينية والتعليم أصلا تجده واضح العبارة، لأننا لا نريد أن يمل منه القارئ. إذا كنت تقصد أن تعلم غيرك ووضعت العلم في شيء إذا رفعه أحد ليقرأ يمل منه أو يتعب من فهم، فهذا يعني أنت لم تفهم شيء، فلذلك لم تفعل شيء أصلا. فلذلك إن شاء الله تجد القصيدة واضح حسب فهمك إن شاء الله. نعم. We will read today Umar ibn al-Khattab and al-Banin, the mother of the boys or the mother of the children. So there is a case of the Khalifa Umar ibn al-Khattab and one mother who had children to feed, inshallah. So the person has made it into poetry. And so, as I've said, you find poetry mostly a bit locked up. The meanings are a bit tightened up. You need to open it up, struggle a lot before you understand. But then poems that are intended for academic purposes or are intended for basically to teach religion and stuff like that, you find it not so difficult to understand. Okay, so inshallah this qasida we would find it not so difficult to understand. We will try to read most of it. I think I took time to number the abiyat, and I think there are about 70 something, about 73 abiyat. So we will try and read most of it, not really all, because that will be too much. Okay. So he says that Lada Umar Amir al-Mu'minina Qifu. I qifu lada Umar Amir al-Mu'minina. I qifu bi wikfat al-mutahayyabina. So we take it like this. Qifu lada Umar Amir al-Mu'minina. Stand or take a pause at Umar, the Amir al-Mu'minin, the Amir of the believers. Yani, you are thinking about things, you are pondering over certain things, then you get to Sayyidina Umar, he's telling you that take a pause. But what kind of pause? He says, Kifu bi. Take that pause with me. So I'm going to take you through, we are going to take a time and understand a particular scenario that has to do with Sayyidina Umar, the Khalifa. What kind of pause? He says, Wiqfat al-mutahayyibina. Al-mutahayyib is somebody caught in awe. Wiqfa here is just the same thing as waqfa. Waqfa, a pause or a stand. Okay, so when I say waqfa, that is masdar. But normally when you find the masdar having the first letter being kasra like this, okay, it means that it is ismul hay'ah. It shows you the nature of the standing. So when it says wiqfat al-mutahayyibina, I stand or take this pause, the kind of pause that when somebody looks at you, he knows that you are caught in awe. Okay, Lada Umar Amirul Mu'minina Qifu bi Wikfat al-Mutahayyibina. At Umar, the Amir of the believers, stand with me. A kind of standing that shows that we are caught in awe. Because what we are going to hear about him or what the story tells us will definitely catch us in awe. Okay, Malikun Dhu Ma'athira Basiqatin. Malikun here is describing Sayyidina Umar. Okay, a king, he was a king, of course. Dhu ma'athira. Ma'athira is achievement. Okay, feats. As we say, he reached higher feats or higher heights, he obtained higher feats, achievement, ma'athira. He is a king, one with a lot of achievement, and this achievement he describes them with the adjective basiqatun. Basiqatin, and basiqatin here means tall. If I think it's a Quranic word, we try our best to look out the word. There is, let me look at it. I think in Surah Al-Qaf, Surah Al-Qaf verse number 10, we see وَالنَّخْلَ بَاسِقَاتٍ لَهَا طَلْعٌ نَضِيدٌ, and the tall palm trees having spadices closely set one above another. So Surah Qaf, verse number 10, you find this word basiqatin, as in being majroor. So the word basiqatin means tall. Okay, so he has high achievement or tall achievement, basically big achievement. يقصر عن مداها السابقون. يقصر عن, I need to be short of. يعني يقصر السابقون عن مداها. The previous people who came before him, do not reach the height of his achievement. Madaha, the limits of his achievement, the predecessors could not reach it or did not reach it. Malikun dhu ma'athira basiqatin, a king with a lot of higher achievement that his predecessors could not reach. Khawalidu ma'afat qadaman. Khawalidu is name for jibal, mountains. Mountains, ma'afat qadaman, yani ma kathura qadaman, it doesn't have legs. Per my understanding, I hold the view that poetry, its understanding is not static, it's not one way understanding until the author himself says this is what it means. So when we say afat qadaman, yani kathara, afat shay bimana katharahu. Okay, afa shay bimana katharahu. So when we say khawalid, yani mountains, ma afat qadaman, it doesn't have feet, it doesn't have a lot of feet, yani legs, it doesn't have a lot of legs, legs. ولكن, but يعطر نشر ذكراها القرون. أي ولكن نشر ذكراها يعطر القرون. That is how you put it. خوالد ما عفت قدما ولكن نشر ذكراها يعطر القرون. His achievements are like mountains that do not have legs. His achievements, they are that heavy, like mountains. The achievement, they do not have legs, a lot of legs, but then nashra dhikiraha, the spread of his mention. And nashra here can mean this good scent of his mention. Ay dhikra ma'athirihi, or dhikra ma'athirihi. The mention of the achievements of Sayyidina Umar, their sweet scent, yu'attirul kuruna, perfumes centuries. So Sayyidina Umar, the second Khalifa, the achievements he had then do not move. It's like the mountains, they do not move, they do not have legs to move, but then their mention, as they keep being reiterated, keeps spicing up generations, keep perfuming generations. Again, khawalidu ma'afat qadaman. Walakinna, then you come to nashra dhikraha. Ay walakinna nashra dhikraha yu'attirul kuruna. Kuruna here bimana qarn, plural of qarn, which is a century. He says, فَمَنْ يَمْدَحُ لِمَكْرُمَةٍ فَإِنِّي. فَمَنْ يَمْدَحُ لِمَكْرُمَةٍ. Makruma bimana a noble deed. A noble deed. فَمَنْ يَمْدَحُ لِمَكْرُمَةٍ. So who will praise a noble deed? فَإِنِّي, because I نَظَمْتُ بِمَدْحِهِ إِقْدًا سَمِينًا. I have definitely composed in his praise, in praise of Sayyidina Umar, إِقْدًا ثَمِينًا. And we say iqd is like a chain, okay, lock, something that is locked up. So normally when somebody composes a poem, it is called iqd, because it's like you've taken this, taken that, join it together. Iqdan thamina, a very precious composure or composing. Ay faman yamdahu limakrumatin, who praise a noble deed. Fa inni, for indeed I, nazamtu bimadhihi, I have composed in his praise, iqdan thamina, a very beautiful text or a very beautiful makeup, a very beautiful production, a very expensive chain. And he says, وَهَاكُمْ here you are. وَهَاكُمْ مَا رَوَى الْعَبَّاسُ عَنْهُ. And here you are, yani have what Sayyidina Abbas narrated about him. أَرَاهُ بِانْتِبَاهِكُمْ قَمِينًا. قَمِينًا بِمَعنى جَدِير. قَمِين بِمعنى جَدِير, I worthy of. Here you are, I have the narration of Sayyidina Abbas about him, about Sayyidina Umar. And I believe that it is worthy of your attention. Arahu, I believe, I see it. Bintibahikum qamina, I see it worthy of your attention. He says, يمثل صورة للبؤس فينا ويملي عبرة للحاكمين. This particular narration that Sayyidina Abbas is going to give us, يمثل صورة للبؤس. First of all, it gives us the image of poverty. It gives us an image of poverty. يمثل صورة للبؤس فينا. It shows the image of poverty among us, we the people. ويملي عبرة للحاكمين. And it also dictates a wisdom to, or a lesson. It also dictates a lesson to the rulers. So it shows, this story we are going to read today would show us, which is narrated by Ibn Abbas, is going to be an emblem of poverty that is among the people, and also dictate a lesson to the rulers. So when you are a ruler, you get a lesson how you should do with your poor and weak people. He says, يقول, يعني Sayyidina Abbas يقول, لقد دعاني الملك وهنا. The king, الملك هنا بمعنى عمر رضي الله عنه, Sayyidina Umar, he called me, the king called me wahnan. Wahnan is said to be midnight or an hour past midnight. Midnight or an hour past midnight, that is wahn. Okay, so he called me one midnight. فَكُنْتُ لَهُ بِجَوْلَتِهِ خَدِينًا. I was a companion. Khadina bimana sahib or sadiq. I was a companion for him in his jawla, in his tour. T-O-U-R. When we say jawla, bimana tour. T-O-U-R. Movement around. That is what we call jawla. He says here, أَفَرَّتْهُ مَحَبَّتُهُ لِشَعْبٍ يَعِزُّ عَلَيْهِ يَوْمًا أَنْ يَهُونَ. His love for the nation, أَفَرَّتْهُ, has made him escape, has set him out. أَفَرَّتْهُ مَحَبَّتُهُ لِشَعْبٍ. His love for the nation weighs on him, such that it sets him out. يَجْعَلْهُ يَفِرُّ, it makes him go out there. يَعِزُّ عَلَيْهِ, it becomes heavy on him, يَوْمًا, a day, and يَهُونَ, for him to take it light. And for him to take the issue of his nation light is very difficult for him. He cannot do that. يَعِزُّ عَلَيْهِ أَنْ يَهُونَ يَوْمًا. It is very difficult for Sayyidina Umar, due to the love he has for the nation, to be negligent for a day, even a day. He says, سَرَى مُتَنَكِّرًا. مُتَنَكِّرًا بمعنى بشكل لا يروه أحد أو لا يعرفه أحد. متنكر, like let's say I am known, I'm Mr. Red, and so I know that when I go out I'll be known. What do? I wear niqab. Of course, niqab is not for women only. Niqab is worn by the men of the Arabs as well. So I put on the niqab, or I put on something that will make me not known. I do some changes to myself that will make me not identifiable. That is tanakkur. Okay, Sara mutanakkiran. He went out in a manner that he will not be identified as the Amir al-Mu'minin. وَاللَّيْلُ قَرٌّ. قَرٌّ bimana cold. And the night was cold. He went out in the night, half past, like around midnight or an hour past midnight. He went out incognito. وَاللَّيْلُ قَرٌّ. And the night was very cold. إِلَى الْأَثْلَاسِ. Yani إِلَى الْأَثْلَاسِ here, we could take it as it was cold till the thirds of the night. Okay. Or huwa sara إلى الأثلاث متنكرا والليل قر. He went out incognito till the third part of the night, from the one to the third part of the night. Whilst the night was cold, he went out incognito. You could take the meaning as such. يفتقد الشؤون, whilst investigating matters. يفتقد يعني inspecting. افتقد يفتقد to inspect. You have the what's it called, in the surah, the story of Sayyidina Sulaiman and the hudhud, where he say وَتَفَقَّدَ الطَّيْرَ فَقَالَ مَا لِيَ لَا أَرَى الْهُدْهُدُ أَمْ كَانَ مِنَ الْغَائِبِينَ. تَفَقَّدَ أي يَتَفَقَّدُ الشُّؤُونَ. He was inspecting matters. Being the emir, he couldn't just sleep like that. He went out inspecting things that were going around. It says يَطُوفُ فِي الْخِيَامِ. Khiyam is the plural of khayma. Khayma, that is canopies. Or abodes, you can pick it like that. Or khayma is canopy, buildings made up of woods and leaves, or just canopy. You can even take the meaning to mean hut, H-U-T. So khiyam is the plural of the khayma. Yatufu fil khiyam, he went out through the tents. He was going through the tent. Asahu yalqa, perhaps asahu, asa bimana perhaps, asahu yalqa, perhaps he meets bimunzawiyatiha rahtan hazina. Perhaps he will find a raht. Raht bimana qabila, bimana jama'atun minan nas. Perhaps he will find a group of people or a tribe that is sad, hazina. You find a group of people, or you find some people that are sad. Munzawiyat is like the zawiyat or zawaya, corners. Perhaps you find in the corners of this khiyam some people that are sad. فَمَرَّ هُنَاكَ بِامْرَأَةٍ عَجُوزٍ. So he passed by a woman who was ajuz, an old woman. I've mentioned before previously that at the word ajuz, people mistaken it to say ajuz for masculine, ajuza for feminine. No, the word ajuz itself is for the feminine. So you see it come as adjective here, bimra'atin ajuzin, by an old woman. If it was a man, birajulun shaykhun, or you say birajulin shaykhin. So bimra'atin ajuzin, he passed by an old woman there. Hawalayha sigarun, hawlaha. Around her were sigarun, young ones, little children. Yu'wiluna, afwan, yu'wiluna. Yu'wilu, a'wala yu'wilu. They were wailing, they were crying loud. He found this old woman with children around her crying loud. Wa kidrin, and there was a kidr. Arkazathu ala athafin, and there was a kidr, is a pot. We've seen this word a couple of times, cooking pot. This woman, arkazathu, she had put this pot, fixed this pot, ala athafin. Athafin is the plural of uthfiyatun. Uthfiyatun. Alif hamza, tha, fa, yay, ta marbuta. Uthfiyatun. You know, there is this, I don't know if I should call it tripod. They put in our settings or traditional settings, and I'm sure even in the outside world, everybody has seen this before. You put 3 stones and you set fire in the middle so that you fix your cooking pot on it. That is what is called the athafin. That is what is called the athafin. And one of those stones is called uthfiyatun. So she has placed the pot on this tripod for fire. Gala abathan. Gala bimana to boil. Gala abathan. Abathan bimana useless. Abathan bimana useless or just for nothing. I think it's also a Quranic word. It came just with the abathan here. He says in Surah Al-Mu'minun, verse number 115, you find أَفَحَسِبْتُمْ أَنَّمَا خَلَقْنَاكُمْ عَبَثًا وَأَنَّكُمْ إِلَيْنَا لَا تُرْجَعُونَ. It says أَفَحَسِبْتُمْ أَنَّمَا خَلَقْنَاكُمْ عَبَثًا. What? Did you think then that we had created you in vain? In vain, bimana abathan, in vain. وَأَنَّكُمْ إِلَيْنَا لَا تُرْجَعُونَ, and that you shall not be returned to us. That is Surah Al-Mu'minun, verse number 115. I want us to be able to locate our words in the Quran. So he says that this pot she had placed on the tripod or the whatever for fire, Gala Abathan, it boiled in vain. It was boiling in vain. The man, there is no food in it. لِتَعْلِيلِ الْبَنِينَ, and that was to convince the children. It was to convince the little ones. She did that to convince the little ones. Ta'lil bimana, giving reason. تقول, she says, وَدَأْبُهَا التَّنْفِيخُ. Da'b bimana mannerism, character. Okay, she said, whilst, so وَدَأْبُهَا here, we can take the waw as waw al-hal, and then the jumla دأبها التنفيح is جملة اسمية في محل نصب حال. أي تقول وهي تنفخ في النار. She said whilst blowing into the fire. So when we say da'ab bimana habit, bimana practice, she said whilst what she was doing was antanfihu. She was blowing. She was doing the way you set fire. Sabran, impatience. Sabran baniya, patience my children. Sabran baniya, patience my children. Sata'kuluna wa tashba'una, you will eat and you will be satiated. Tashba'u, shabi'a yashba'u, tashba'u, to be satiated, to be satisfied. You will eat and you will be satisfied. فَظَلَّ الْمَلِكُ يُمْعِنُ نَاظِرَيْهِ. So the Malik, Umar bin al-Khattab, he remained there. ظَلَّ هُنَاك, he remained there. يُمْعِنُ نَاظِرَيْهِ, while setting his two eyes. نَاظِرَيْهِ بِمَعنَى عَيْنَيْهِ. He was casting his gaze. Biha, hinan. He will look at her very carefully for a moment. He remained there. أي ظل حينا, ظل الملك هينا يمئن ناظريه بها. He was there for a while, casting his sight on her. وبالأولاد هينا, and at times, so at some point, يمئن ناظريه عليها بها ويمئن ناظريه بالأولاد. He will set his gaze on the woman for a while, and then he will set his gaze on the children for a while. He was looking at them. He was confused. وَطَالَ وُقُوفُهُ فِي الْحَيِّ, and he stayed in the area. He's standing there in that particular area. Al-Hayy bimana area. He's standing in that area kept long. طَالَ, he stood there for long. حَتَّى تَوَجَّسَ. Tawajjasa comes with the same meaning as awjasa. Okay, we have in the Quran, is it فَأَوْجَسَ فِي نَفْسِهِ خِيفَةً مُوسَى? I think we have a word like that. Yeah, that is Surah Taha, verse number 67. Surah Taha, verse number 67. You see, فَأَوْجَسَ فِي نَفْسِهِ خِيفَةً مُوسَى. So Musa conceived in his mind a fear. Tawajjasa bimana, to conceive within you. Okay, so Sayyidina Umar stood there for a while, for a longer time, looking at the woman and looking at the children, until he conceived within him that perhaps an yariba bihi zununa, perhaps people who had thoughts will start having doubt about him. Why is Sayyidina Umar standing there looking at the, why is this man, because who was Sara mutanakkiran, he couldn't be identified. So people might say, why is this old man, why is this man standing there looking at this old man for long like that? So he started getting fears that people might doubt him. And people, he said, az-zununa, people who zan, az-zunun, are people who start having thoughts about him. Okay. He says, yaminan, yaminan, ay qasaman. Yaminan, qasaman, he's swearing. Laysa yabghi al-bayna. He does not want to depart. Al-bayn bimana mufaraqa, bana yabinu, to go away. In the qasida of Ka'b bin Zuhair bin Abi Salma, or Ibn Abi Salma as they want to pronounce it, when he was his qasida of the Burda, he says, he started with banat su'adu فقلبي اليوم متبول. بانت أي هي فارقتني, بانت فارقت أو ذهبت بعيدة. Okay, and he says ليس يبغي البين, he does not want to depart. حتى يرى الأولاد قد ملأوا البطون, until he sees the children have filled their stomach, until he sees that the children have filled their stomach. أو حتى يرى الأولاد قد ملئوا البطون, until he sees the children, their stomach is filled up. وما زالوا كذلك بضع ساعٍ. He saw the situation just like that for a couple of hours. تنفخ في الوقود. She was blowing air into the fuel of the fire. So the firewood there and the fire, she was blowing in it. تنفخ. She was blowing in it. ويصرخون, and the children were wailing. So the situation kept like that for a couple of hours. She will be blowing in the fire and the children are crying. He is also waiting that they will be fed. And he says, فَعِيلَ تَصَبُّرًا. It is an action out of difficult patience. تَصَبُّرًا, difficult patience. وَدَنَا إِلَيْهَا. So he went close to her. وَحَيَّا قَائِلًا. And he greeted, saying, مَا تَصْنَعِينَ. What are you doing? مَا تَصْنَعِينَ. What are you doing? Yes. وَمَا لِبَنِيكَ يَنْتَحِبُونَ. يَنْتَحِبُونَ is the reactive form of the nahaba. Nahaba, to wail. يَنْتَحِبُ. وَمَا لِبَنِيكَ. And what is wrong with your children that they are wailing out of hunger? قالت, she said, جِيَاعٌ. They are hungry. The plural of جَائِعٌ. جِيَاعٌ. They are hungry. قال, and he said, لِمَا لَمْ يَأْكُلُونَ. Why haven't they eaten? أجابت, وَالْمَهَاجِرُ دَامِعَاتٌ. So this وَالْمَهَاجِرُ دَامِعَاتٌ is just like the one I explained, وَدَأْبُهَا التَّنْفِيخُ. So you can say the waw here is waw al-hal, and the jumla here is في محل نصب حال. أي أجابت وهي تبقي. والمهاجر, mahajir is the plural of the mahjar, and the mahjar is the thing that the eyeball is inside. So basically the eye, dami'atun, in tears, is filled up in tears. She said, she responded whilst her eyes were filled up in tears. أَأُطْعِمُ صِبْيَةِ الْمَاءَ السَّخِينَ. Should I feed my children with hot water? السَّخِينَ, hot. Should I feed my children with hot water? فَمَا فِي الْقِدْرِ غَيْرُ حَصَى وَمَاءٍ. Because there is nothing in that pot except pebbles and water. So she's asking him, should I feed the children with... it's a very deep way of telling somebody how bad your situation is. So the person sees you keep blowing in the fire and you keep telling the children they will eat, and they've been there for hours. Food is never getting ready. And the person comes to ask you, why are you doing this? Why are they not eating? So you say, should I feed them with stones and water, or should I feed them with hot water? Because there is nothing in this pot you are seeing except stones and hot water and water. It says, أُحَاوِلُ أَنَّهُمْ يَتَعَلَّلُونَ. I am trying so that they would find reason. They would think that, oh, something is happening, and so be hopeful. لَعَلَّهُمْ مَتَى مَلُّوا إِنْتِظَارِي. Because when they become fed up, or when they become bored of waiting for me, وَسَاوَرَهُمْ نُعَاسٌ يَهْجَؤُونَ. أي أحاول أنهم يتعللون لعلهم متى ملوا انتظاري وساورهم نعاس يهجؤون. I'm trying to give them reason to wait, and perhaps when they wait for me and they are bored or they are tired of waiting for me, وساورهم نعاس, and sleep overcomes them. نعاس أي بمعنى نوم, or drowsiness, and sleep or drowsiness overtakes them. Okay, that is sawara, to overtake or to basically overcome somebody. So if sleepiness overcomes them, perhaps they will sleep. Yahja'una, haja'a yahja'u bimana, to sleep. So I'm trying my best so that they will find reason and get bored, and then they will sleep. فقال لها, and Sayyidina Umar told her, لقد أخطأت رأيا. Of course, this is a very wrong idea. It's a very wrong plan. وأورثت الصغار دنا وهونا. And you've indeed brought upon the children. أورث, you've brought upon. أورث also means to make somebody inherit, but the actual meaning here is to bring upon. وَأَوْرَسْتِ الصِّغَارَ, you brought upon the children danan, weakness or sickness. وَهُونَ, and huna is also severity or severeness. You've given them shidda. Your situation have become difficult. فَلِمَ لَمْ تَعْرِضِي شَكْوَاكِ يَوْمًا, why don't you rather give your complaint even one day? عَلَى عُمَرَ أَمِيرَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ, why don't you for a day complain to the Khalifa Umar, the Amir of the believers? Why don't you complain to him instead? إِذَنْ لَكَفَاكِ مُرَّ الْعَيْشِ مِمَّا يَجُودُ وَلَمْ يَكُنْ عُمَرُ دَنِينًا. إِذَنْ أي إِذَا كُنْتِ قَدْ فَعَلْتِ هَذَا, if you had put your complaints before the Khalifa, إِذَنْ لَكَفَاكِ, he would have sufficed you. مُرَّ الْعَيْشِ, he would have saved you from the difficulty of the life. From what he will give you, مِمَّا يَجُودُ, ay from what he would give you. وَلَمْ يَكُنْ عُمَرُ دَنِينًا, and Umar is never niggardly. He is never a miser. Danin, I think we have it also in the Quran. وَمَا هُوَ بِغَيْبِ دَنِينًا, something like that. Let me find the verse for us. Surah At-Takwir. That is Surah At-Takwir, chapter 81, verse number 24. He says, وَمَا هُوَ عَلَى الْغَيْبِ بِضَنِينٍ, I know of the unseen is he a tenacious concealer. He doesn't hide what he has. He's not a miser. He doesn't act niggardly. Okay, so Sayyidina Umar is generous. He's not a miser. فَقَالَتْ لَا سَقَتْ عُمَرَ الْغَوَادِ, this is a way of praying against somebody. The woman is saying that لا سقط عمر الغوادي. Al-Ghawadi is the plural of Ghadia. Ghadia is a rainy cloud. There are some clouds, when they appear, you know that this cloud is carrying rain. That is what is called the Ghadia. So the plural is Ghawadi. She's saying that these rainy clouds should not rain upon Umar. They shouldn't give Umar rain. وَنُكِّسَ بَنْدُهُ فِي الْعَالَمِينَ, and may his flag, band bimana flag. Band is flag. And nukkisa is the passive voice of nakasa, to turn something upside down. And his flag should be turned upside down fil alamina, in the world. It's a way of praying against. If you see an Arab praying severe prayers against somebody, don't take it literal, don't take it personal. Take this from me. You see an Arab saying, Sawwad Allahu wajhak, or La atal Allahu umrak. They have this thing. It sounds like a curse. It sounds very severe, but it's not always in its literal meaning. It's sometimes the sentence is there, but then the meaning is actually an expression of disgust. So La saqat Umar al-Ghawadi wa nukkisa bandhu fil alamina. She is not meaning the dua literally. Arabs, take this from me. That is how Arabs are. You find between Arab and Arab, they are speaking and you hear something very severe. That is not what it means. You see wailun lak. Wail bimana calamity. You see somebody say wailun lak. Ma haza. Easily the person will say wailun lak. May calamity befall you. No, that's not what it means. The person the statement is there to represent how disgusting what you are doing to the person feels. Understand this and know Arabic very well. So she's saying that may the rainy clouds not give water to Sayyidina Umar, and may his flag be turned upside down in the world. لَقَدْ سَمَحَتْ بِظُلْمِ مُقْلَتَاهُ. His two eyes have permitted for me to be treated unjustly. Samahat, to permit. Bizulmi, for my injustice. Muqlatahu, his two eyes have permitted for me to be treated unjustly. Yani he's seeing all that is happening and he's allowing me to suffer like this. وَتَحْمِيلِ الْخَصَاصَةَ وَالْأَنِينَ. And me carrying, tahmili, carrying, I have been burdened with al-khasasa, poverty, faqr, poverty, wal-anina, and groaning. Yani we are always groaning, we are in poverty, we are in pain. فَرَاعَ فُؤَادَهُ مَا تَدَّعِيهِ. And his heart is delighted, ra'a, to be delighted, to be attracted. His heart has been delighted by what you claim, ma tad'ina. And you people are saying he is generous. You are around him telling him praise words. You are praising him. And so his heart is delighted with those words. Ma tad'ihi, what you claim, is delights his heart. So the fa'il of the ra'a here is the ma, ay alladhi, ma al-mawsuliyya here is the fa'il of the ra'a. Ay ra'a ma tad'ihi fu'adahu. Fu'ad is the maf'ul bihi. وَقَالَ لَهَا, and he said to her, بِرَبِّكِ أَخْبِرِينَ, by your Lord, I beseech you by your Lord, أَخْبِرِينَ, inform us. فَقَالَتْ, and she said, قَدْ أَمَالَ الطَّرْفَ عَنَّا, he had indeed taken his sight of us. الطرف هنا بمعنى النظر, البصر, العين. He has taken his eye of us. وَلَمْ يَعْبَأْ بِمَا قَدْ حَلَّ فِينَا, and he does not care. لَمْ يَعْبَأْ, he does not bother about what has happened to us. مَا حَلَّ فِينَا, what has occurred to us. أَيَفْعَلُ أَنْ سَوَائِمِهِ مَلِيكٌ يُسَمِّي نَفْسَهُ الرَّاعِيَ الْأَمِينَ. Does a king who calls himself the devoted shepherd, a person who calls himself the devoted shepherd, الرَّاعِيَ الْأَمِينَ, does he let his flock, this happen to his flock? أَيَفْعَلُ أَنْ سَوَائِمِهِ مَلِيكٌ يُسَمِّي نَفْسَهُ الرَّاعِيَ الْأَمِينَ. Does, sawa'im is the plural of sa'ima. Sa'imatun is a grazing animal. So does the shepherd who is saying that he is loyal, he is devoted, does he takes his eyes off his flock like that? عليه أن يفتش يفتش التفتيش, investigation. So when you say maktab al-taftish, office of investigation. So he says he must, عليه, it is upon him, أن يفتش في الرعاية, he must always investigate and inspect his subject. ويرتاد المزارع والحزون, and he must always look out for. ارتاد, he must always look out for, or check, or inspect. ارتاد المزارع. So because there are no vowels here, I'm sure in some manuscript there will be vowels. Let me show you something. The mazari' is the plural of mazra'atun, farmland. So mazari' is the plural, farms. And then if you read it muzari', farmer. So if you read وَيَرْتَادَ الْمُزَارِعَ, he must look out for the farmer, وَالْحُزُونَ, and the tough lands, rough lands. Al-mazari', so here the actual word is al-mazari'a, farmlands. He must inspect his subject, al-ra'aya, that is first one, his subject. وَيَرْتَادَ الْمَزَارِعَ, and he must visit the farmlands. وَالْحُزُونَ, and the rough lands. He must visit everywhere. And then he says, أَسَاهُ أَنْ يَرَى مِثْلِي عَجُوزًا, perhaps he must find my likeness, an old woman. If he should do that, he might find somebody like me, old woman. تَبِيتُ اللَّيْلَ تَنْتَظِرُ الْمَنُونَ, who sleeps at night, or who spends her night waiting for manun. Again, let's pay attention here. Al-manun can mean fate, ay qadar, somebody's fate. Al-manun can mean death, ay tantazir al-maut, who spends her night waiting for death or waiting for fate. But the actual meaning here, manun, ay kathirul man, somebody who gives a lot. So you perhaps Sayyidina Umar might find, if he should go around checking, he might find an old woman like me who spends her night waiting for a very generous person to give her something. فَيُنْعِمُ مِنْ حَزِينَتِهِ بِشَيْءٍ, so that he will give from his treasury, حَزِينَتِهِ, treasury where food is stocked, so that he will give something from his treasury. تُعِيلُ بِهِ بَنِيهَا الْمُدْنَفِينَ, which she will use to support, sustain. تُعِيلُ, أَعَالَ, that is why we say a person's family is his iyal. So your wife, your children are your iyal. So تُعِيلُ بِهِ بَنِيهَا al-mudnafina, so that she will use it to sustain her children. Al-mudnafina. Mudnaf is somebody who is, what is this word? Emaciated. Somebody who hunger has beaten to the point the person is emaciated. You could see the bones in the person's face. The flesh is gone. So that she will support her children who are emaciated. فَكَمْ عَافٍ يَمْنَعُهُ حَيَاءٌ. How many people who are destroyed, people who are suffering, people who are broken. How many are people who are broken but are prevented by their haya, shyness? They are prevented by their modesty to beg. كَمْ مِنْ عَافٍ يَمْنَعُهُ حَيَاءٌ. A lot of people, they are very poor, they are needy, but their modesty and their shyness prevents them. فَلَا يَجْرِي مَعَ الْمُتَسَوِّلِينَ. So you find such a person does not run along with the beggars. Al-mutasawwil is a beggar. So you don't find a person, somebody is very well broken, he's poor, needy, but his shyness or his modesty prevents him from begging the dignity. Because when you beg, you throw away your dignity. And so he does not run along with the beggars. يَكَادُ يَمُوتُ مِنْ ظَمَإٍ وَجُوءٍ. He's almost dying from thirst and hunger. وَلَا يَبْغِي أَكُفَّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. But then he does not seek for the hands of the good people, the people who are charitable. He wouldn't go seeking them. Akuffa ay bimana kafun, the hands of the good people. It represents their generosity. إِذَا مَلِكٌ تَغَاضَى عَنْ ذَوِيهِ. And so if a king tagada takes his eyes off people like this, people who are poor but cannot beg, إِذَا مَلِكٌ تَغَاضَى عَنْ مِثْلَ هَؤُلَاءِ فَيُحْسَبُ فِي عِدَادِ الظَّالِمِينَ. Such a person will be considered among those who are oppressed. So the king must check for the poor people, must check out for the poor people. That is the Islamic ruling for any leader. If you are a leader, you must watch out for the people you are leading. Because when you are a shepherd and you are heading a flock, you don't wait for the goat to tell you, I need grass. You know what time to take the goat to eat. If it is emaciated, you know when to take it out to eat until it is satiated. Okay, it says, فَقَالَ لَهَا. And Sayyidina Umar told her, صَدَقْتِ. You've said the truth. فَعَنْ قَلِيلٍ. In a bit, عَنْ قَلِيلٍ, in a bit, in a short time. نَعُودُ بِمَا تَيَسَّرَ. We will come back with whatever we find, whatever we are able to find. فَأَنْظِرِينَا. So wait for us. وَسَارَ وَسِرْتُ مُحْتَذِيًا خُطَاهُ. This is wasara, Sayyidina Umar moved. Wasirtu, Abbas, I moved muhtaziyan, following. Muhtaziyan is from the verb ihtaza. Ihtaza bimana to copy, to follow somebody. So he moved and I moved following his steps. Khutahu. كَأَنَّ بِنَا إِلَى وَطَرٍ حَنِينَ. It is as if the way he moved and I was following him, it's as if we had a goal that we are so eager to reach. Watarin, a goal. Hanina, we are eager. We are so eager to see somebody, like the way you miss your mother and you are about to meet her. You are so eager to see her. The way Sayyidina Umar moved and I followed him, it looked like we had a particular goal we were so eager to reach. أُقِرُّ وَرَاءَهُ تَحْتَ الدَّيَاجِ. I was following, stepping right after him. In the darkness, ad-dayaji, ad-duja. I was following right after him under the darkness. وَتَنْبَحُنَا الْكِلَابُ وَتَقْتَفِينَا. And the dogs were barking at us and following us. إِلَى بَيْتِ الْمُؤْنَةِ حَيْثُ أَمْسَى. إِلَى بَيْتِ الْمُؤْنَةِ. Mu'na is supplies, provisions. So they were headed to they went to the house of supplies or house of provisions where the Khalifa keeps the provisions or the foods of the Ummah and shares them. They went there. And that was where Amsa Hunalika, Sayyidina Umar stayed there. He stayed there. Yanbishu, uncovering. From Nabbasha, I think the verb that is they have the word, they have a particular word for it. Afwan. To excavate something, to uncover something, to search in something. There is one word, you know, when somebody is buried and they remove the body, they have an English word they give to it, a very nice word like that. I wanted to remember that word and give it to us. So, nabasha, or nabasha, I need to bring something out, something that is hidden somewhere, to bring it out. Nabasha, also the same thing, to search in something, to the way investigators come to your house and they keep pushing things around to disclose something, that is nabasha. So he says here, هنالك ينبش الذخرة. He was opening up the provisions. الذخرة بمعنى the provisions, stored goods. الدفينة, buried. The provisions that were buried, that were hidden, he was bringing them all out. Things they've stored, he was bringing them all out. And he says here, وما هو غير لمح الطرف حتى, and it was not but a short moment. لمح الطرف, a blink of an eye. It was not but a blink of an eye. حتى حملت السمنة, until I carried oil, cooking oil. واحتمل الطحينة, and he also carried flour, F-L-O-U-R. So Sayyidina Umar brought out oil and brought out flour. So Abbas carried the oil and Sayyidina Umar carried the flour. وَعُدْنَا وَالدَّقِيقُ عَلَيْهِ يُذْرِي. We returned to the woman whilst the flour, الدقيق is flour, عَلَيْهِ يُذْرِي, they were pouring on him. The way he carried the flour, some of it was pouring on him. يُذْرِي, it was pouring down on him. فَعَفَّرَ آرِضَيْهِ. Aridain is the cheeks. Khaddayhi. It dusted his two cheeks. He carried the flour on his head, and so it was falling down, drooping down. Yudri. It was drooping down on him, and so it painted all his face, his cheeks. Wal jabina, and his forehead. Jabha. His forehead also. So his forehead and his cheeks were in flour. Yakadu yanu'u tahta al-himli. He was almost bent. Yani he almost fell under the load. Al-himl is load. Under the load on his head, it looked like he was bending and falling down. Lakin masha tul al-masafati mustaqina. But he walked throughout the distance humbled. Mustaqina. He walked throughout the distance humbled. He never dropped it and sought for help. كأني إذ أردت يدي عليه. It was as if when I stretched my hands upon him, ضربت على صفات لن تلينا. It was as if I hit on a rock. Safat is a rock that is fine, a fine rock. There are some rocks, you touch them, you realize the surface is fine. That is the safatin. So when I stretched my hands to him, it was like I have hit on a fine rock that will not succumb, that will not become soft. So I was trying to, let me help you. And it looked like I've hit a rock. I've seen a fine rock. I think it was supposed to be very soft, and I touched it and I realized, no, this is a rock. It will never be soft. That is how the case of Sayyidina Umar was. فَقَالَ, and Sayyidina Umar said, Usmut, keep mute. فَمَا حَمَلْتَ عَنِّي, because you will not carry off me dhunubi, my sins. Keep quiet, because you are not going to carry off me my sins. يَوْمَ يُجْزَ الْمُذْنِبُونَ, the day that the wrongdoers will be reckoned, the day that the wrongdoers will be punished. You cannot come and carry my sins for me, so let me bear my load. And then he says, إِلَى الْأَوْلَادِ يَا عَبَّاسُ. إِلَى الْأَوْلَادِ, yani focus, we are going to the children, Abbas. Sirbi, walk with me. أَمُدُّ لِكَشْفِ كُرْبَتِهِمْ يَمِينًا, I have to stretch my right hand to them to solve their problems. Kashfi al-qurba, taking off their qurba. Qurba is a problem. We have in the hadith, man farraja an muslimin qurbatan, farraja Allahu biha lahu yawm al-qiyamati qurbat, something. There is a hadith like that. I wish I could quickly reach it and read it for you. There is a hadith about this. Let me see. It says, أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال المسلم أخو المسلم لا يظلمه ولا يسلمه ومن كان في حاجة أخيه كان الله في حاجته ومن فرج عن مسلم كربة فرج الله عنه كربة من كربات يوم القيامة ومن ستر مسلما ستره الله يوم القيامة in Sahih al-Bukhari. So kurba is calamity, problems. So he says that he tells Abbas, go with me, follow me to the children. I want to stretch my hand to take off their problems. Ana akulu kulla yawmin kulla lawnin. Do we eat every day all kinds of foods, all colors of food? وَهُمْ مِنْ جُوعِهِمْ يَتَضَوَّرُونَ, whilst they are also wailing out of hunger. وَنَصْرَهُ فِي رُبُوعِ الْأُنْسِ دَوْمًا, and we are always excited. نَصْرَهُ أي مسرحية, we are having fun. فِي رُبُوعِ الْأُنْسِ, in the wake of amusement, a gathering of amusement. Always, we are always having fun in gatherings of amusement. وَهُمْ فِي قُوحِهِمْ يَتَمَلْمَلُونَ, whilst they are in their قُوح, hut, H-U-T, the building that looks like it is made up of palm trees and all that. That is what we call the قُوح. So do we always have fun while they are in their قُوح يَتَمَلْمَلُونَ, being restless, okay, having to suffer fear, tamalmala, impatience, fear, suffering. Whilst we are having fun, they are there scared of the next moment. Says وَنَرْقُدُ لَا نُبَالِي بِالْبَلَايَا, and we sleep, raqada, to sleep, and we sleep without caring about calamities, any balaya, any problem. وَهُمْ لِنَبَالِهَا, I think. Nabal is the archer, bowman, B-O-W-M-A-N, somebody who shoots arrows. And they, وَهُمْ لِنَبَالِ الْبَلَايَا, the ha here refers to balaya. So the poor people, they are like the mustahdafuna, they are the targets of the bowman of calamities. He makes calamity like let's say calamity is a king, and the king has a bowman. This bowman, his arrows are targeted toward the weak people, the poor people. So Sayyidina Umar says, should we sleep in the ni'mah of Allah whilst these poor people are being shot at by calamities? And he says, Jafani inda ru'yatihim rukudi, my sleep, Jafani, left me. My sleep left me inda ru'yatihim, when I saw them. Wa wasalani suda'un lan yabina, and a headache, suda'un, headache, connected with me. My sleep left me and I got headache. Lan yabina, this headache will not leave me. And he says, let's try and cut some abiyat here, inshallah, and then we will let it, we will pause this section here. He says, وَكِدْتُ أُحِسُّ أَنَّ الْأَرْضَ مَادَتْ, and I almost felt like the earth shook. I felt like the earth shook under me when I saw them. وَجَوْفُ الْغَمْرِ, and the al-ghamr, you know, al-ghamr is part of the muthallas. And for the record, I have the muthallas qutrub treated on this same channel. You can go to the playlist and you'll find the muthallas qutrub. I've treated it lightly. It was some audio lessons I had with a couple of brothers, and then I made it into a picture video. You could check it out. The word al-ghamr is part of the muthallas qutrub, where we have al-ghamru, al-gimru, and then we have al-gumru, al-gamru, and al-gimru. So they are all treated. And then when you have al-ghamru is the flood, overflowed water. Here I would like us to take the meaning as the sea. So he felt like the earth shook under him. وَجَوْفُ الْغَمْرِ, and the bottom of the sea, أَوْشَكَ يَحْتَوِينَا, it almost engulfed us. He felt like the sea almost covered them. إِلَى الْأَوْلَادِ يَا أَبَّاسُ, إِلَى الْأَوْلَادِ, yani to the children. Let's go to the children. We need to reach there. أَمْهُ خَطَايَا, let me, to the children, I want to clean my errors, my wrongdoings. أَمْهُ خَطَايَا, to the children, I want to clean my errors. وَأَغْسِلُ الْآرَ الْمُبِينَ, and I wash off the blemish, al-ar, blemish, al-mubina, that is apparent. I want to wipe out my errors and also wash the blemish that is apparent on me as a leader. Aimullah is like qasaman billah, swearing by Allah. Aimullah, I swear by Allah, malkulalur rawasi, not the high mountains. Kahamli zalamatil mustad'afina, is like carrying the burden of the weak people, the burden of the injustice of the weak people. So when you treat the weak people unjustly, it is more heavier upon you. If you are somebody who is discerning, you realize that that is more heavier upon you than carrying the heaviest mountains on you. And he says that فَأَزْجَيْنَا الْخُطَى. So let's try to end on this. Actually, I named the abiyat, I numbered them so that we can easily communicate. That is we are ending on the bait number 53. This particular bait here will be our ending today, bait number 53. So Sayyidina Umar says that to the children, Abbas, let's go to the children. I want to clean my errors and also wash off the apparent blemish that is upon me. For I swear by Allah, not the heaviest mountains is like carrying the oppression of the weak people upon you, having the burden of the oppression of the weak people upon you. Inshallah, in the next episode, Sayyidina Umar and Abbas are going to, radiallahu anhuma, are going to reach the old woman, and then we are going to see what they will do and what will happen in the next incident. Before we do that, when you finish understanding this one, do well to read the remaining abiyat, inshallah, and we will come to clarify the rest. I wish that with the time left, I could quickly read through the abiyat. Umar ibn al-Khattab wa al-Banina. He says, لدى عمر أمير المؤمنين كفوا بوكفة المتهيبين مليك ذو مآسر باسقات يقصر عن مداها السابقون خوالد ما عفت قدما ولكن يعطر نشر ذكراها القرون فمن يمدح لمكرمة فإني نظمت بمدحه إقدا ثمينا وهاكم ما روى العباس عنه أراه بانتباهكم قمينا يمثل صورة للبؤس فينا ويملي عبرة للحاكمين يقول لقد دعاني الملك وهنا فكنت له بجولته خدينا أفرته محبته لشعب يعز عليه يوما أن يهونا سرى متنكرا والليل قر إلى الأثلاث يفتقد الشؤون يطوف في الخيام عساه يلقى بمنزوياتها رحطا حزينا فمر هناك بامرأة عجوز حواليها صغار يعولون وكدر أركزته على أثاف غلا عبثا لتعليل البنين تقول ودأبها التنفيخ صبرا بنيا ستأكلون وتشبعون فظل الملك يمعن ناظريه بها حينا وبالأولاد حينا وطال وقوفه في الحي حتى توجس أن يريب به الزنون يمينا ليس يبغي البين حتى يرى الأولاد قد ملئوا البطون أو حتى يرى الأولاد قد ملئوا البطون وما زالوا كذلك بضع ساء تنفح في الوقود ويسرحون فعيل تصبرا ودنا إليها وهيا قائلا ما تصنعين. In the explanation, فعيل صبرا, fa here is alone, عيل is also alone. Let's quickly refer to that incorrect. عيل بمعنى to lose patience, for your patience to drain off. فعيل صبرا, his patience drained off waiting. ودنا إليها, and he got close to her. وهيا قائلا ما تصنعين, what are you doing? وما لبنيك ينتحبون, قالت جياء, قال لما لم يأكلون, أجابت والمحاجر دامئات أطعم صبية الماء السخينا فما في القدر غير حصى وماء أحاول أنهم يتعللون لعلهم متى ملوا انتظاري وساورهم نعاس يهجؤون. فقال لها: لقد أخطأت رأيا وأورثت الصغار ضنا وهونا، فلم لم تعرضي شكواك يوما على عمر أمير المؤمنين، إذا لكفاك مر العيش مما يجود ولم يكن عمر ضنينا. فقالت: لا سقت عمر الغوادي ونكس بنده في العالمين، لقد سمحت بظلمي مقلتاه وتحميل الخصاصة والأنين. فراء فؤاده ما تدعيه وقال لها: بربك أخبرينا. فقالت: قد أمال الطرف عنا ولم يأبى بما قد حل فينا، أيفعل عن سوائمه مليك يسمي نفسه الراعي الأمين، عليه أن يفتش في الرعايا ويرتاد المزارع والحزون، عساه أن يرى مثلي عجوزا تبيت الليل تنتظر المنون، فينعم من حزينته بشيء تعيل به بنيها المدنفين، فكم عاف يمنعه حياء فلا يجري مع المتسولين، يكاد يموت من ظمأ وجوع ولا يبغي أكف المحسنين، إذا ملك تغاضى عن ذويه فيحسب في عداد الظالمين. فقال لها: صدقت، فعن قليل نعود بما تيسر فانظرينا. وسار وسرت محتزيا خطاه كأن بنا إلى وطر حنينا، أقر وراءه تحت الدياجي وتنبحنا الكلاب وتقتفينا، إلى بيت المؤنة حيث أمسى هنالك ينبش الزخر الدفينا، وما هو غير لمح الطرف حتى حملت السمن واحتمل الطحين، وعدنا والدقيق عليه يذري فعفر عارضيه والجبين، يكاد ينوء تحت الحمل لكن مشى طول المسافة مستقينا، كأني إذ أردت يدي عليه ضربت على صفات لن تلينا. فقال: أصمت، فما حملت عني ذنوبي يوم يجزى المذنبون، إلى الأولاد يا عباس سربي أمد لكشف كربتهم يمينا، أنا أكل كل يوم كل لون وهم من جوعهم يتدورون، ونسره في ربوع الأنس دوما وهم في كوخهم يتململون، ونرقد لا نبالي بالبلايا وهم لنبالها مستحدثون، جفاني عند رؤيتهم رقودي وواصلني سداء لن يبينا، وكدت أحس أن الأرض مادت وجوف الغمر أوشك يحتوينا، إلى الأولاد يا عباس أمه خطايا وأغسل العار المبينا، عيم الله مل كلل الرواسي كحمل ظلامة المستضعفين. Inshallah, we end this particular episode here. In our next episode, inshallah, we complete the few abiyat that is left. The whole of it, as I said, is about 73, and we've done about 53 of it. So we are left with about 20 abiyats to complete, inshallah, which we will make sure to do that quickly. Till we meet again, have a very good Arabic time. If you've not subscribed, please do well to do so, and try to share in support of our channel. Let's grow the channel together. And also, don't forget to leave a like. Don't forget to ask questions where need be. As I've said, take note of the correction of the fa'ila. I like that every bit is explained well. Fa'ila, it is fa and ila. Fa as arf al-atf. Ila, tasabburan, his patience got drained. Fa'ila, tasabburan. Inshallah, in the next episode, I will do well not to forget to start explaining this again. I don't like anybody to take any wrong explanation anyway. Okay. Till we meet again, have a very good Arabic time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.